And also, I want to set expectations. Commissioner Marino, myself, need to leave at 3 p.m., but matters by the public, if they have not concluded, will still continue after our absence. Okay. With that, I turn it over to my colleagues, Commissioner Marino, to call our speakers, and Vice Mayor Sachs, if you will work the timer for us.
I will honestly and ethically work this timer.
Thank you. We have 2 microphones here, so as I call your name, please go to either one. We've got a lot of cards, and we'd like to be able to hear all of you. So William Koenig and then Leonard Seratore. One take one take the other, and we're good.
You're recognized.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Leonard Seratore. I was here 2 months ago to expose what I and many others feel is unethical and dishonest behavior in the hiring and promoting of county employees. I have spoken to Commissioner Mac Bernard on this subject in person, and as of this date, nothing has been done to investigate these matters. You have had 60 days to answer, which none of you have done. The taxpayers and employees expect answers, not cover-ups. I also called Commissioner Barnett on this subject, and I had a recording, but they told me I'm not allowed to that, but basically he said he wasn't going to do nothing, he didn't have the time. So it's obvious that you're not going to take down your corrupt employees. It's also my understanding that people are aware of this unethical behavior, contacted their district commissioners, and received no answers at callbacks. By refusing to investigate these claims, you are complicit in the unethical behavior. This brings me to Commissioner Barnett, who was appointed by Governor DeSantis. He was appointed to District 3, where he does not live. The rules state you must physically live in the district, but don't worry, Commissioner Mary Lou Berger openly admitted during a debate she owned a house in the district but resided in Palm Beach Gardens. You can reference Attorney General Ashley Moody's webpage. Keith James also sued somebody for the same actions. The Commissioner and I go back 6 years ago, where I was a seated committee man in Republican Executive Committee. I was also running for County Commissioner at District 7. The night of the REC meeting, Peter Feynman asked me not to announce my candidacy right here in this chamber. He stated Mike Barnett wanted to talk to me. Mike called me and asked me to meet him and Ryan from the REC at the Carolina Ale House in Boca Raton. At this time, he had asked me to drop out of the race, stating I could not win. My response was, you do not know that. Ryan stated to me, you were going for the Super Bowl and never held a political position. And I asked now, what about AOC, a former bartender? Have all you held political positions before? Per the request, I dropped out of the race and never heard from either of them again until 2 years ago. I received an email from Mike Barnett stating to call him in the afternoon. I never replied. I forwarded an email to my friend. You recopied it accidentally. It says, can you imagine this guy, the president of the REC, and his buddy, Ryan, told me to drop out of the race 4 years ago, want me to call them after I dropped out and never heard from them again. I find it revolting that you never held a political position, and here you sit after telling me after 6 years ago to me about holding political posts. You have an obligation to get Republicans elected, but you helped the Democrat, Mac Bernard, to go unchallenged in that election. Basically, in my opinion, Ryan and you threw an election for the Democratic Party so their candidate can win. That's all I have. Thank you.
William Koenig, if I'm reading this right, Farms Court.
Good afternoon.
Romig.
Yes, Romig, R-O-M-I-G. My name's William Romig, and I'm here today on behalf of Septic Sucks, a citizen-led effort calling on state and county elected officials to address the septic systems that are polluting our water. Over the past couple of weeks, we have spoken to hundreds of members of our community, and one thing has remained constant. Residents want to protect their waterways. They want our state to remain beautiful and have the pleasures of enjoying our great springs, rivers, and world-class beaches. They want to see thousands of tourists come to our state and continue to see the economic growth with tourism dollars that help make our economy flourish. They have learned that the #1 pollutant of our waterways is septic tanks. They don't want to see our dead fish, dolphins, and manatees because of algae growth that leads to red tide. They don't want to hear the tales of small businesses going under because tourists decide to pass on our state for those out wests. As we've spoken to hundreds of people around our region, one thing has become clear. Most people have no idea the environmental danger old septic systems pose to our water, our health, and our state. Our elected leaders should be doing everything in their power to protect the health and safety of our residents. We call on this county commission to work to help residents like Sarah, who want to do their part in keeping our waterways clean by banning future septic tank projects or require that they contain nutrient removal technology, and working with the state government to help fund these replacements and upgrades. The future of our state and our water rely on this work, and we ask for your support to fight for a healthy future. I know I am proud to be born and raised in Florida, and I know everyone here is lucky to call this great state their home. We just need to work together to make sure our children and grandchildren can enjoy this amazing state too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. May I have Dan Dummett, please? Roger Manning, followed by William Ellis and Carla Little Griffiths. You can each take a microphone. Sir?
I'm here today to comment on the county's proposal to make certain changes to the road, bridge, and sidewalk that borders John Prince Park on the east side of Lake Osborne. My name is Dan Dummett. My family moved to Lake Osborne Estates in 1957, and I now own my own home on Lake Osborne Drive. My wife's parents moved to the Lake Osborne area from England around 1917, living in tents on property they purchased on High Ridge Road in Lake Osborne Estates. I'm not entirely sure why the county is considering this additional sidewalk along Lake Osborne Drive, but it is adamantly opposed by the neighborhood residents, as evidenced by a recent actual door-to-door survey conducted of the homes along the stretch of Lake Osborne Drive from High Ridge Road to Lantana Road. Of the 58 homes directly contacted, we received a response from 78% of them. Of the 78% responses, 100% were strongly opposed to the addition of sidewalks in the easement area in front of their homes. Not only would these sidewalks be of little or no value to the homeowner or the county, they would negatively affect the environmental beauty of Lake Osborne Drive by destroying mature trees and shrubbery that add to the green space and are part of the beauty of Lake Osborne. This green space only enhances the beauty of John Prince Park and the overall neighborhood. People will always opt to walk on the existing walkway sidewalk on the John Prince Park side of Lake Osborne Drive, bordering the lake, as opposed to walking in someone's front yard. Perhaps there might be some appeal to solicitors or those wanting to scope out a residence for nefarious purposes. We believe the county money is much better spent on making the neighborhood both safer and more appealing by diverting any funds allocated for the proposed sidewalks to methods which address traffic calming via speed bumps, mini roundabouts, stop signs, and crosswalks intersecting roads along Lake Osborne Drive. In addition, this approach will save the years of beautification to that environment that was added over the years to the county's easement without any expense to the county, I might add. Also, as I've alluded to, the county has installed and maintains a very desirable and attractive sidewalk paved path on the lake side of the Lake Osborne Drive that is in constant use and is protected by a guardrail that provides a modicum of security to the public, which would never be available to any additional concrete sidewalk replacing mature trees and landscaping on the residential side of Lake Osborne Drive.
Can I ask you to wrap up your remarks? Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Good afternoon, Roger Manning, 5874 Lake Osborne Drive. I'm speaking on the same subject that Mr. Dermott is also. So good afternoon, Mayor Weiss and commissioners. I'm here today to ask for your help to preserve the look and feel of the south end of John Prince Memorial Park. I'm referring to the replacement and modification of Bridge PB 934354 and the removal of the wooden walk bridge that extends along into the sidewalk, asphalt walk from Lake Osborne, Lantana Road, up Lake Osborne Drive, from Lantana Road to Lake Worth Road. Most of you know the history, but the park was a vision of the former county commissioner, John Prince. After his discharge from the U.S. Army, Prince returned to Lake Worth to continue his career as an engineer. He worked several years for the Palm Beach County Engineering Department, and in 1934 won a seat on the Palm Beach County Commission. He served for 17 years and was chair from 1945 to 1949 for what is now District 2. Mr. Weiss, honorary Mr. Weiss, that was your district, of course. At that time, there were no time limits. To his credit, though, a combination of persuasive political arm twisting and land donations between 1937 and 1941, the county acquired nearly 1,000 acres, 625 for the land and 335 acres for the lake. The area from Lake Worth Road to Lantana Road is all residential with 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. The remainder of the area, Lantana Road to the south, Congress Avenue to the north, and Lake Worth Road going west is 45 miles an hour and predominantly commercial. The wood bridge removal and the modification of a new bridge will be taking away the park feel, and after speaking with people that use the bridge hundreds a day, hundreds. I live right there at the bridge. No one can believe that they're taking the bridge away, this wooden bridge, and building something like this. I respectfully ask that you consider taking a closer look at this project before adopting it. I know your team has standards, but one shoe doesn't fit all. And I believe that John Prince would rather see a wooden walking bridge around his park than this asphalt. It's not a good, no one that I have spoken to, no one has said that they said, why are they taking this bridge away and putting up a concrete bridge? The bridge should stay as it is or be not modified. That's what they say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your name, please?
Hi, my name is Natalia William, and we submitted the comment cards in order, but I guess they called us out of order, so I'd like to start first in Carla, if that's okay.
You are?
Natalia Melian.
Okay. Thank you.
I am here today along with several other residents of unincorporated Palm Beach County. We are expecting an update on any progress or new direction regarding the 6 areas of concern noted by Commissioner Marino on January 10th, 2023, here in this room. What is bona fide ag by statute? Landscaping, commercial recreational vehicles, code violations and implementation, collection fees, a moratorium, and the 2019 codes. In addition, there were 2 issues which the board agreed wouldn't be investigated and addressed over the next 2 months, with a report filed and reviewed by March meeting. Neither item has been readdressed or mentioned at the February meeting or on today's agenda. The code changes that were made in 2019 and are not conducive to the agricultural rural way of life. We recognize and appreciate that Sarah Baxter has a town hall scheduled for tomorrow night regarding these codes and will address this at a later date. The second item was the harassment and abuse of power by Code Enforcement Department when applying code changes in Loxahatchee acreage area. At the meeting on January 10th, Administrator Baker stated that she would conduct an investigation into these allegations and in 2 months would have a response. At the meeting, Commissioner Sachs showed great desire for the people to trust our government. That is the responsibility of the government to serve the people. We can only trust the board if they hold the administrator accountable to produce the report. Based on today's agenda, there was no indication of a response, and we are here to seek answers and get solutions to our problems or violations that most of us have at the moment.
And your name is?
My name is Carla Little Griffiths.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to quote Commissioner Woodward from our January meeting stating, "Hopefully the stores would improve." Well, we are here today to tell you they certainly haven't. In fact, it's gotten worse. We would like to bring new complaints of retaliation to the board since the January meeting, most of which have occurred within the last 30 to 45 days. Some of these items at a glance may sound reasonable until you actually go to the properties, observe for yourself, or look deeper into each specific situation. Homeowners have been cited for the following reasons, to name a few. 1, citation for excessive vegetation. The yard grass had palmetto trees and sable palms in their natural state. 2, citation for debris or waste containers visible from the street. This home had a Home Depot bucket in the front yard, but since they were citing them for something else, they added that to the citation for the bucket as well. Citation for outside storage of materials. The materials were being used to build a permitted storage unit on that property. Citations for too many cars parked in the driveway. There were 8 cars. All the cars were operable. They had valid tags. The owner explained that clearly 2 of the vehicles were for workers at his home that day. One of them was a Comcast service guy. The second was the lawn guy that was mowing his lawn for that day. The owner was told it didn't matter and received the citation. The owner then questioned what happens at Thanksgiving when they have company or family over. And at that time was told that it doesn't matter, that if there's more than 7 cars, it is a violation, and also took time to tell him that new codes are coming your way. This statement in itself is incorrect because even with your current codes, there are exceptions and time requirements that must be met. The owner had to go to the code enforcement office to fight the citation, and then it was finally removed, but the owner had to take time out of his or her day to go through the process. 5, citation for outside storage. The owner of the home was told that he had to keep his garage door closed for it'll be considered inside storage. When the garage door is open, it's seen by the public and it's therefore considered outside storage. There was also a
Excuse me,
citation.
Ma'am, your time is up. Do you want to close it in
Yes.
another minute? Go ahead.
Yes. In closing, there was also a citation for a 26-foot boat, and we were told by Ramsey Buckley that the previous code did not apply to recreational vehicles, but that wasn't the case, and the person had to sell their boat, unfortunately.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Sure.
My name is William Ellis. I live at 16060 East Duran Boulevard in Loxahatchee. I'm here for the same purpose. I moved to Loxahatchee in 1987. My goal was to have a boat and an RV, and I'm happy to say that I was successful in both endeavors. Now, I have an RV at my house, and I'm talking to my neighbor who tells me, well, get ready. Well, get ready for what? Well, they're going to cite you. What do you mean they're going to cite me? Well, I got a friend of mine, he's got a boat in his driveway, and they cited him. First off, even if we change the rules, we should be grandfathered in, number one. Number two, if we're going to change code, which apparently they did, should we not be notified before we are fined? Now, that's on an RV standpoint, and even reading the news from Loxahatchee or Indian Trails, they don't mention the RV issue. They only talk about commercial vehicles, which I want to talk about now. I'm sure every one of you like your jobs, but so do a lot of people. And it breaks my heart to hear a lady at a meeting say she was the third generation garden and lawn care person in her family, third generation, and she had to give up her business because of this code. I moved to Loxahatchee. I put up with some stuff. I had an animal rescue thing next door, and I had to listen to chickens and donkeys and all this other. But I moved to Loxahatchee, so people couldn't tell me that I couldn't park my boat or RV next to my house. And I tolerated that. That's fair. But to tell people that they're going to lose their jobs, their life, I mean, okay, I personally agree with you. I don't want 3 or 4 semis next door in the grass. But what's wrong with one who's there just coming and going, especially in this day and age when we have the supply chain issues and the desperation to get truckers to haul supplies? Now, I know that's reaching on a national level, but all national problems usually start in a variety of local areas. So what I'm asking you today is change the code back to the way it was. We're not hurting anybody in Loxahatchee. That's why we moved there. We're not messing with anybody in West Palm or Palm Beach or Wellington or any of that. We moved there for this purpose. And I have to put up, I'll even add this, I have to put up with horses and horse farms in Loxahatchee because of Wellington and their polo. But you know what? I moved to Loxahatchee so I could at least have an RV, and I will not complain about them. So I'm asking you now, please look into this and fix it, because there's people that are losing their jobs, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to lose yours either. But thank you very much for your time.
Blaze Ori, I apologize in advance, Uriark, and then followed by Renee Hamilton, followed by Drew Martin, and then followed by Barbara Sesko.
The last name's Uriarty. I bought a house in Loxahatchee in 2021. I grew up in Loxahatchee, and I decided when I was able to buy a house out there. And I'm also here to speak on the issues related to unincorporated Palm Beach County. It's a very concerning situation. There's potential, Actually, I'm going to start from the beginning. So, Section 23 of the Florida Constitution says every natural person has the right to be left alone, free from government intrusion into the person's private life, except as otherwise provided herein. And all of us in Loxahatchee have located out there because we desire that right to privacy. And because it's a constitutional issue, the county commissioners have a duty to enforce their rules and codes in the least odorous way possible to the citizens. We don't have HOAs out there, and that's the way we want it. We don't want to be an HOA community. Furthermore, I want to talk about the actual enforcements of these new codes. There are issues related to potential abuse, for one. Code enforcement agents are telling homeowners that they don't need to disclose who reported them, which is a lie. Florida Statute 162.21-B reads, a code enforcement officer may not initiate an investigation of a potential violation by way of an anonymous complaint, and those complaints are necessarily public record. There's multiple instances of that. There's also questionable behaviors of building department officials who are not code enforcement officers acting as code enforcement officers. And though that may technically be legal, that doesn't seem very appropriate, and makes one think that they need so many code enforcement officers because they're looking for ways to find more people. So that's questionable. Finally, one of our citizens in Loxahatchee was told that by one of the code enforcement officers that they have a hit list of 50 people that we're going to get. The agent then named a neighbor first and last name and said we're waiting for him to leave his gate or garage open and we will get him. Please note that this person was named, has been active at our meetings and at the commissioners' meeting, and is now being targeted along with several others. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renee Hamilton. I live in Loxahatchee. One additional item that Blaze didn't have time to address was that we've also been told that there was a person who was violated recently with several citations. They received 9 different citations, and when they asked who they were reported by, they were told they didn't need to tell them. They were told that they were under investigation by the sheriff's department, and therefore they did not have to disclose. However, this person had no issues with the sheriff's department, nor were they under investigation. They went downtown down to the code office to find out what happened, and they found out that the supervisor for that agent had directed them to take the day, drive down Orange Boulevard, and look for citations and vehicles and sheds and anything they could cite and get it cited out there for that day. I can't believe that you don't have enough people where you have complaints in other areas that you can go and investigate those complaints rather than searching and hunting in our area for a complaint. Okay, and that was done by the supervisor of that person for the code department. I'd like to take a moment now to actually thank Commissioner Baxter, Commissioner Sachs, Commissioner Marino, and Woodward for truly hearing us at the January 10th meeting and actually taking time to voice your concerns and suggestions to ensure there is true fairness, equity, and equity in the handling of our concerns. But also, as Commissioner Sachs said several times, many of us are suffering and we need relief, which she then asked Administrator Baker and others to help provide. But it honestly doesn't seem as if they want to provide relief, as that during that meeting, they found excuses or rebuttals to why they can't. But there's always a solution when you truly want to find one. Or even the gentleman who, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Administrator Baker said that if they have violations, we have to charge the fines and it's illegal not to. But there's always a solution when you truly want to find one. Or even the gentleman from the staff that stood right up here and said, we don't have the authority not to fine. It sounded to me like they didn't want to suggest options with outcomes that would be helpful to the people. Instead, it's about the rules and the money. There are things that can be done. Maybe extend the compliance date from 10 days or 30 days to more like 90 days or more so that we have time to get through the code changes that we need to do. You can make that happen. It's simple. They put a date on there. The agent is determining what that date is, so just let them extend it so we get through this instead of fining us and causing us harassment. When Commissioner Melissa McKinley was still in charge, she stopped all the citations for commercial vehicles on a temporary basis while investigating these matters, and that occurred in 2019. So why can't this group do it now? It must be because you don't want to. Why can't we do this? Well, you talk about relief, but on the agenda today, earlier today, was a fine that was decreased from over $114,000 to $40,000. Who can afford to pay this? This person was only being fined $100 a day, but we're being fined thousands of dollars a day. Your own attorney said there may be options that could help provide relief. What are those options? Have you looked at them? Have you implemented any? We are here because we need your...
Ma'am, can I ask you to wrap up your remarks? You're
I will.
gone over.
We are here because we need your help, support, and immediate relief. Not only is this a financial burden, but it's affecting our physical and mental health. Please do the right thing and help us. On a final note...
Thank you.
On a final note, let it be known that we are here because something has to change.
Thank you.
We will continue
Thank you,
to fight
ma'am.
for our property rights and our
Excuse
rights
me.
to make a living. We will continue to form our
Ma'am.
neighbors and grow our group as we are adding new supporters daily. You cannot intimidate us or harass us into submission. So if this board truly wants to work
Ma'am,
towards
I'm
an
asking you to
amicable
please-
outcome and
I'm
build
asking
trust
you
with
to
the
please
people,
conclude your
please take
remarks.
action today and stop
you-
code enforcement from maliciously harassing us until code changes resolutions can occur. It's been way too long.
Okay. All right. We're going to bring order back to this meeting.
Mr. Martin.
Drew Martin, I'm here on behalf of the Loxahatchee Group of the Sierra Club. I want to say first that we support the idea of keeping the footbridge at Lake Osborne. It seems much more conducive to the nature of a park to have a footbridge rather than forcing people onto sidewalks, and removing the greenery. So I hope that there's something that maybe Commissioner Weiss or Mayor Weiss could look into that since it's in his district. I want to just talk about a couple issues. One is I do notice the temperature has gotten a little warmer. I don't know if you feel that, Commissioner Marino, but I appreciate it if it has. We feel that, it should be comfortable in government buildings. And I know I've also been over at Vista, and it gets really cold in there, and I have to wear extra sweaters. And I think that, dehumidifiers could be just as effective as keeping the air conditioning extra cold. I also want to address the Brookside issue, and I appreciate Commissioner Sachs allowing us some workshops on that. Thank you so much. I still hope we'll be able to speak on March 28th. We will be there, and we want to express our feelings. I think that the last workshop I attended was a little heavily dominated by the other side. And I really think Brookside was bought with taxpayer money, was bought to be open space and greenery. If the current landowner doesn't want to farm, then he should sell, or she should have to sell to someone who wants to farm and not be allowed to, raise the value of their property and be allowed to develop on that. The housing problem's really going to be solved on the high ground near I-95 and between, and not way over on the west side. I did notice that there was an article about the potential of high-speed rail on Okeechobee Boulevard. I think that's interesting. I don't know how well that would be used, but I definitely think that cars are definitely, we've got a real problem of traffic. And I noticed that the legislature is actually passing laws to make it worse. They have a law that says you can't reject a development if it causes a traffic problem. So I'm not sure how you're going to do your job to alleviate traffic problems if the legislature does not allow that. I assume your lobbyist up in Tallahassee will be objecting to that. God knows if they'll have any effect. It seems like from my experience, and I was in Tallahassee on Thursday, even my reps are afraid of the leadership. And I don't think that's how government should operate. I think that the reps should be able to represent their constituency. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Ms. Susko?
Barbara Susko, 7164 St. Andrews Road, Lake Worth, formerly District 2, now District 3. I'm mainly concerned here about voter integrity. If we don't have fair and free elections, we don't have anything. And I heard this week that Florida is withdrawing from ERIC. That's a step in the right direction because they were loading the voter lists with all kinds of people that had left the area or were dead or whatever, and it just made it more difficult to clean the rolls, which is, of course, what some people want. The other factor, of course, is the big money coming into the area. I don't have the facts on this, but I do know that George Soros and Zuckerberg have both given millions. We're limited to maybe 5,000 to give a candidate. They give millions to provide these voter boxes that people can leave their ballot in. There's no real safe chain of custody in that situation. And I tell you the truth, I wouldn't even trust the people sitting there monitoring it. Nobody can be trusted because so many people lie and cheat today. So we really need to stop these individuals from, pouring money into areas so that they control the elections. And of course, in many of these places, they're helping elect terrible people, as in New York, Chicago, wherever, electing terrible DAs who don't have people put up bonds. They just get out, no bail. It's lawless. Our country is going down the tubes, and we've got to correct these things. So here in Palm Beach County, we can do one very important thing, and that is to stop any of these individuals from dumping money into our county, making it sound like it's going to be much better, but it certainly is not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. William Coakley, followed
Excuse
by...
me, we don't have shows of either appreciation or if we disagree with somebody, that we don't have that happening in chambers. Thank you.
William Coakley, followed by Jean Rivera, Oscar Montoya, and Patricia Testa.
Greetings, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. This is regarding the Lake Osborne Bridge project, the extension of which has a potential to put sidewalks all the way up and down the road. And two things really come to mind. One is one size fits all. When we asked why it was we weren't consulted about this plan, the response was from the planning department that we don't have to. That isn't provided for in the ordinance. The second thing is that it reached the planning stages, and now we have to react to you. And we are hoping that we can get a voice at the table and bring some reasonableness to this, because we've taken care of that easement for 70 years. And the idea that the streets within Lake Osborne, which are residential, where you see people on the sidewalks, you know who they are, there's their car up the street, so on. That's probably 80 to 90% of the traffic on those streets, but Lake Osborne Drive is way different. It's got 2 yellow lines up and down it. There is probably 90% of the thousands of cars that are on it a day are transient. And at night, it brings in the security issue, because we have drug deals practically nightly. We find paraphernalia, needles, clothes sometimes when they park across the street. And my concern is that now it looks as if they want to bring that from 90 feet from my front door to 30 feet from my front door. So I would appreciate some review of this. Maybe there's a provision for a variance of some sort, I'm not sure. We're not a retired community, we're a working community, so I'm all for any conversation we can have on it, and I'll end my comments early. Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Oscar. I am a resident from Los Ahachi. I am here for begging you, please help the people in Los Ahachi, help the community. We right now really in a strong moment. We're in truckers and some of models, the business down there, we're ready in recession. We almost lost our job, not for the reason throw away, but for the reason of the market. We ask help at least key over there to get some kind of help, at least to don't find any yard. I got some pictures over here in Los Ahachi. You can find the police, a lot of stolen truck and computer, and this week and last week, over 50 truck have stolen in the yard. In the last meeting in January, I see one guy over here read something in paper, and that guy, I don't know if someone pay. He was architect. That guy don't live in Los Ahache, and that guy say he don't want commercial vehicle over there because he want kids say the child and the people down there. I want to ask in that moment to that person, he gonna help me to take care of my child, to take care of my neighbors? Well, see, he want to help me, he maybe try to pay for my taxes and start to help me because, see, I am a truck driver and I go to home. Who gonna take more of my child in that place? I want to ask, please help. We need the help. The person, basically, you represent the government. You represent the people live down there, and we ask help from you because we almost broke. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Rivera, followed by Patty Testa, Vanessa Bentley, and Scott Lewis.
Have situations where developers come out of the state and they're trying to put pressures in the rules of the agricultural land that we have already established since many, many years ago. And now we just basically is trying to transform the land. It's trying to transform the rules and regulations, and that is not fair. So this is an agricultural land that is representing truckers, is representing the people who are getting involved in agriculture, engaging in different businesses, and we do have businesses in that area. We don't want to lose those businesses. So we need, this is Florida, this is not California, this is not New York. We have a lot of people who come in from different places. And we don't want to, because of the pressure of development, yield to these kinds of lobbyists who comes to change the rules and regulations that we already established in these areas. That's all, very short message.
Thank you. We have two podiums, so please line up at either one. Patty Testa, followed by Vanessa Bentley.
Excuse me 1 second. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
I just want to confirm the date. We are workshopping this coming up next week, I believe. Next Thursday. That's what I want to, so I want to make sure everyone knows this is being worked on currently as far as we are looking at it to come to some resolution to help everyone, which is why my town hall is this Wednesday, so it was before the workshop. Now, I am a little disturbed to think that anyone would in the future be afraid to come speak publicly for fear of harassment afterwards. And I think we should maybe consider something that's beyond reproach and investigate, and I would appreciate it if we could work with some of the people here and get some names and numbers and really look into it, because I don't think anyone should be afraid to come to us and speak on any level or get harassed for doing so. And whether that's an independent firm, so they can't say, oh, it was swayed or not, but just something to put this to rest, and so that our residents feel a little more comfortable. So if you'd like, I would definitely love to hear what everyone else has to say, but just something to keep in mind while we're listening, because what I've heard has been disturbing.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Patty Testa, and I'm from Jupiter. Congratulations to the new board members. This is my third time addressing Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners. In 2021, it was about mask mandates. The board willingly signed a mask ordinance indicating agreement to perpetuate a giant scam without facts or science, to force those seeking service to comply to be served, to force businesses of any kind to comply in order to serve, to create division between patients and their healthcare provider, to terrorize and humiliate the very youngest to the very oldest, scarring and scaring them literally to death, to weaponizing our police and sheriffs to the point they forget who they serve, to separate us from our churches, and to turn us against each other. But I don't want to bring that up. A signature, your signature, is precious. The board indicated that their only role in the SOE activities, the supervisor of election activities, was funding. Learning of the integrity and security problems with voting machines, I asked the board to stop funding the expanded SOE center to house and operate machines, massive utility bills, maintenance plans, and service contracts, salaries to run and service, supplies for sorters, scanners, duplicators, openers, and tabulators, miles of electrical cords and communication wires, non-live streaming cameras. Machines with USB connections were last certified in 2019 before Ms. Link selection. The vote-by-mail manager says certification is necessary only with updates or changes. I believe that replacing an ineffective supervisor of election was reason enough to look at the whole system and clean it up. How can I have confidence if there are no legal machines certified with the new SOE that replaced a bad one? Should have been the first order of business. We have been hammered with fear panic that we could never count votes again if we removed machines. Brainwashed to think vote by mail is the only way to count, impossible to manage the volume, there is no other way, it takes too long. Ironically, it's been called a beautiful ballot factory, where AI targets, artificial intelligence target beta testing is in place to select voter choices, where machines are making decisions, where machines are making errors, where overseas/military voter names and ballots are exposed. How many times is a legally signed vote-by-mail ballot touched or manipulated by a human or a machine from the second it leaves the elector's fingers until it is counted? How many times is too many? How many times are necessary? Technology is stealing my faith and confidence that my vote is safe and secure. Technology is stealing our ability to count. This is why messing with our students' brain oxygen was a mistake. They know how to count. I have done election integrity since March of 2022, and today's my anniversary, election day. For 1 year, I examined signatures and so much more. While you debate and decide the Palm Beach County budget, it will be your precious signature that will record your position and will place you exactly where you want to be in history. God bless America.
Good afternoon, Mayor Weiss and County Commissioners. My name is Vanessa Bentley, and I'm here to discuss the Lake Osborne Drive over Lake Bass Canal Bridge Replacement Project. My husband and I own one of the 2 homes that will be directly affected by this project, so we really have a vested interest in the complete plans once they're finalized. First, the proposed sidewalks on the east side of the road are an unnecessary expense. While we have been informed that sidewalks are always added when improving roadways, we would argue, as other people have here today, that the Lake Osborne Estates is a unique community where a one-size-fits-all standardized approach is not appropriate. The John Prince Park Trail currently exists along the west side of Lake Osborne Drive roadway and provides the walkability that the county seems insistent in adding to the east side. This trail also provides increased safety for pedestrians and cyclists of all ages because it is further off the roadway. The residents of Lake Osborne had proposed that in lieu of the sidewalk along the east side, that the county provide crosswalks at the only five intersections in the neighborhood. We feel that this is a more than reasonable compromise to the current design, but that it has fallen on deaf ears. We are more than willing to work with the county, but the county does not appear to want to work with us. We also feel that if the county were truly interested in the neighborhood walkability, then you would be more flexible in hearing our concerns and reasonable alternatives. It would be remiss of me not to note that we're not just coming to you with our concerns. We have been presenting different solutions for the past year that just keep getting thrown to the side. We also feel that if anyone on this board actually lived in our community, that you would feel the same way. But because you don't, and maybe some of you do, I could be wrong, it's easier to just say, well, they're just complaining and this is how we do things. I cannot express enough to you how frustrating it is not to feel heard about something that will impact us, like me personally, and the entire neighborhood long after you're done with this project. Second, we are concerned with the extent of the road and bridge expansion and how it will negatively affect our driveway. our sight line and the safety when pulling out of our driveway. The raised bridge will create a tougher angle for us to be able to see oncoming southbound traffic. I cannot tell you how many vehicles speed over that bridge, as well as the entirety of Lake Osborne Drive. Tangentially related to this concern is the fact that we will be losing all of the mature landscaping that currently exists along our driveway, which provides a fantastic layer of privacy between our house and speeding traffic over the bridge. We will also be losing a large chunk of flat fenced-in green space, which is slated to be replaced with, you guessed it, concrete. Third, we have yet to receive clarification on just how much of our front property will be taken by the county. This whole process has been confusing for us, and we feel that the project managers have been less than transparent and that none of our concerns are being adequately addressed. The homeowners along Lake Osborne Drive have a vested interest not only in our own homes, but all of our neighbors' homes as well. To be clear, none of our neighbors, I'm almost done, none of our neighbors with lakefront views are in favor of sidewalks. There are no other geographically similar neighborhoods like Lake Osborne in Lake Worth, and we are pleading with the county to help us maintain the unique beauty and desirability not only for us, but for generations to come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As was previously noted, Commissioner Marino and I will be leaving. Vice Mayor Sachs will be continuing to chair the meeting.
So we're going to have Scott Lewis, followed by Lady Goldwire, followed by Todd Buffington.
Hi, my name's Scott Lewis, 514 14th Street, West Palm. A couple of months ago, my insurance for my company, auto insurance for all the trucks I've got, went up 20%, and I called my agent and had a long talk with him. And I've actually verified what he said with several other agents, that 1 in 5, and maybe it's 1 in 4, drivers in Palm Beach County is either uninsured or has no driver's license. It's that high. It affects every valid driver in this county, every resident, the cost. And that means you got the insurance premiums going up, you have 20% more traffic, and traffic is the most common complaint I hear from all of my friendly competitors and friends. 20% more accidents, 20% more emergency responses, 20% more lawsuits, and 20% more road repairs. There's an answer to that, and you're coming up in your budget cycle. You can direct the sheriff to enforce laws that are on the books now. And that affects all of us. It affects you all when you drive to work. It benefits all the business owners in the county and all the legal drivers in the county. The cost could drop dramatically. It'll take a year for the insurance industry to recognize the drop, but you get an immediate reduction in traffic accidents, emergency responses, lawsuits, and road repairs. You raise your mass transit ridership. You've got a possible big revenue source for the sheriff for ticketing people that are driving illegally. There's an example of how you could do it. I'm not talking about disrupting everybody coming into the cities during the day for work, but think about if you did it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when people are heading home. You set up roving teams of sheriff's deputies that have tow trucks with them so that you're not letting someone get back in their car and drive home with a ticket when they don't have a license or they don't have insurance, and they have to face up to what they've done. It might take 20 or 30 sheriff's deputies and staff and admin to do this if they did it 2 hours a day on weekdays. The impact would be enormous on the whole county. And I'm not just talking about costs. And you all know how many complaints you get about traffic and road system failures in the county. Imagine if 1 in 5 drivers was gone, cars off the road, all right? That would make a massive impact on all the things I talked about. So you got less accidents, less injuries, less traffic, less lawsuits, cost savings, and you just got to enforce a law that's already on the books. Thank you very much.
We have Lady Goldwire, followed by Todd Buffington, followed by Meredith Hope.
Good afternoon. My name is Lady Goldwire. I am here today as
an advocate for my son, first and foremost, and as a staunch advocate for the resurrection of viable mental health care systems for the residents here in Palm Beach County. I want to take a moment, first and foremost, to thank some of the employees here at Palm Beach County. Specifically, I don't know her name, and I don't want to start crying. Her name is Marcia. She works for Palm Tran. My son is mentally ill, suffers from schizophrenia. Sometimes I don't see him for weeks at a time. This woman who drives the bus, she knows what our situation is, and she grabs him, she gives him water, he looks forward to the visit, and sometimes it's the only report that I have that he is okay. And I don't know what you pay your employees. I don't know what their aptitude is each day, but for someone to take the time to do something like that while on their 9 to 5, I think it speaks to the administration and your leaders. And I just want to say thank you, and if somebody could find her and tell her thank you for me as well. Jerome Golden closed its doors 2 years ago, and it simultaneously opened the entire county out to a figurative bleeding of our mental health resources. The ripple effect has been devastating, and I don't know that there are many things that can unite us all. As of late, there seems to be no shortage of things for us to fight about, however, but mental health, it isn't one of them. Mental health, it transcends race, religion, sexual orientation, and political party. It's the one thing that we can do collectively and do right, irregardless of where we land. Community and healthcare for professionals working in tandem with adequate resources is key to posing a solution to this crisis, a crisis that has been exacerbated by post-pandemic traumas that one way or another have had its impact on us all. I am here to request the following: that this body consider developing a task force or an advisory board that can explore the current state or lack thereof of mental health resources. The ones that we have are simply not working. I'd like for you guys to make consideration for situs and funding for a wellness center that would be dedicated to stabilization and continuum of care of mental health patients. If you break your leg, you know it takes 6 to 8 weeks to heal. These people have brain disorders. My son is on his 46th admission, and he's sent out the door in 3 days and asked to do well. It takes one person who's suffered a mental health disorder almost 2 years to recover from it. Without Jerome Golden, South County simply isn't enough. JFK simply isn't enough. We need a stabilization center for them. I think it's something that works for us all. I have one last statement, and I'll go. I think our LSCWs or our LCSWs go off to college. They extend themselves for graduate level education only to be compensated as prominent and uber-engaged members of our mental health provider dynamic for less than $45,000 a year after taxes. The half-cent tax, penny tax worked before. I don't know if we can apply or come up with something else so that we can get our mental health system in place and in order, but we live in one of the best counties on the planet. We're wealthy, we're rich in so many ways. I think if we restore our mental health system, we'll do so much for so many of us. Thank you.
Lady, just real quick, lady, thanks for being here.
Don't make me cry, Mac.
You know, I know we've had phone calls regarding your son, and I'd love for us to set up a meeting with the leadership of the healthcare district. And in regards to mental health, that's something that the healthcare district is looking at, and we look forward to working with the healthcare district to really try to find a way to where the county and the healthcare district will address this major issue in the county. So
I'm looking forward to it.
So let's do that, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So we have Todd Buffington. Hold on, Commissioner.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Could we also get, she had referenced the Palm Tran driver. I would love to recognize that Palm Tran driver. If we could find out who that is, please.
So we have Todd Buffington, followed by Meredith Hope, followed by Kristen Mondo.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. I'm Todd Buffington, and I'd like to share some charts created by statistician and pattern recognition expert Phil Evans that show results from last year's Palm Beach County primary election. We've also provided a handout for you if you'd like to follow along. You may be familiar with the statistical law of large numbers, which states as more results are added to a population, the cumulative average will get closer and closer to the mean. We see it demonstrated in this chart on page 2, which shows what normal election results should look like, and that the average should vary more in the beginning and flatten out around the mean as you have more results added. However, what we see in the following, or CVR or cast vote record analysis, is a much different scenario. Page 3 shows results from our District 23 primary races, where 5 candidates' charts follow this rule and 2 do not. On page 4 is shown the 99.99% confidence interval, another law or formula of statistics which predicts the outcome with 99.99% confidence based on an initial sample set. In other words, there was a 1 in 10,000 chance the results of this race would fall outside of the red outlined area. What we see is this 1 in 10,000 possibility happening again and again in many races in Palm Beach County. You can see it happen on page 4 in the District 23 primary for Joe Budd. His end result was 2 points above the 99.99% confidence interval. In the District 22 primary, the next page, Joe Francise's share of the vote ended up almost 6 percentage points higher than the confidence interval. Again, a 1 in 10,000 chance that would happen. In the Democratic Senate primary, Val Demings ended up with over 87% of the vote, more than 2.5 percentage points higher than the upper limit of the confidence interval. Again, a 1 in 10,000 chance of that happening. In the Democrat governor primary, Charlie Crist received almost 70% of the votes, 8 percentage points above the upper limit for the confidence interval of 62%. Again, it was predicted that his votes would be between 58 and 62% with 99.99% confidence. Even obtaining 63% had a 1 in 10,000 chance of occurring, yet he received nearly 70% of the vote. The next page shows it happening again in District 23 Democrat primary for Moskowitz, the chosen winner. Again, his share ends up outside of the area predicted with nearly 100% confidence. So that's 5 Palm Beach County races, given each had a 1 in 10,000 chance of happening. There is a 1 in 100 trillion chance of this happening 5 times in one election. 1 in 100 trillion. How could this happen? It appears to be an algorithm that kicks in after 14 votes in every precinct that increases the votes for the chosen candidate. Page 9 shows 2 different races with similar patterns. The charts show the number that have voted in every precinct along the horizontal axis.
Thank you so much.
These
We
are
appreciate- we
selections,
appreciate
not
your
elections,
input.
and voters are clearly being disenfranchised.
Thank you, sir. Moving on.
So we have Meredith Hope, followed by Kristen Mundo, followed by Bruce Terrell.
Hi, my name is Meredith Hope, and I live in Palm Beach, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And I'm going to follow up with what Mr. Buffington had to say here today, as this is to show additional proof of this is selections, not elections. If you look at the next page of the handout, you will see the Congressional Republican primary race for District 21, which is masked. Here you will see the inverse of what was shown in the other charts. You will see Brian Mast's share of the votes start out very high and then begin to drop. This is indicative of what's called front loading. Votes for the chosen candidate. Shown again in red is a 99.99% confidence interval based off of the initial votes. This time, his share drops well below what is predicted. Again, a 1 in 10,000 chance of occurring. How did this happen? Looking at the next page, you will see he received nearly all of the first 50 votes in the 13 precincts shown. This is also not normal and shows the system gave him nearly all of the first 50 votes in these precincts. Only after 50 votes in each of these precincts do the other candidates begin to receive votes. Not only is this not normal, if I chose stocks like this, I would have the SEC coming to investigate me. I'd like to also share a few quotes from experts regarding our election machines. As to them being certified, Clay Parekh, Army cybersecurity expert with 9 years of experience as one of the only security testers for the voting system test lab, has stated he was only allowed to do basic compliance testing. Why? We have to ask why. And was not allowed to test the standards used by the DoD. I spent my career in the DoD. This would not be acceptable. I would have been fired. He found many vulnerabilities quickly and easily within 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes in as quickly as 2.5 minutes. This obviously is not secure. While he identified and reported hundreds of vulnerabilities in our system here in Palm Beach County, no corrective, I repeat, no corrective action was taken, and the voting systems were certified. Hundreds of vulnerabilities, and they were certified. In addition, no machines are certified to the standards newer than 2005. Lots has happened in technology since 2005. Despite the many advances in technology in the past 18 years, also of concern, these machines are given to public officials with zero cybersecurity background. So again, it appears the systems are designed and set up to be vulnerable. Jake Stauffer, a former cybersecurity analyst with the Air Force, is one of the few who looked inside the ES.
Let's summarize.
I will. He's looked inside the ES&S and DS200 tabulators, which is what we use here in Palm Beach County, and I quote, "What we found, it was staggering," is what he said. Staggering, multiple vulnerabilities that could allow an attacker to get in to the highest levels of the system.
Thank you so much for
Thank
those.
you.
Thank you.
So we have Kristen Mundo, followed by Bruce Farrell, and Jeff Blongino. All right, thank you.
Oh, could reset the clock for me, please?
You're on.
Could you please reset the clock?
Sure.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kristen Mondo, and I live in Palm Beach Gardens. I am compelled to speak here today because of the evidence supplied by Mr. Buffington and Ms. Hope. You have been shown statistical anomalies that simply do not and should not exist unless there's been some sort of manipulation. These anomalies in our very own voting data should not exist. That is powerful. And what's more powerful is that we know they exist. And by doing nothing and taking no action, we will continue to allow them to exist. By doing nothing, we will allow our elected officials to be selected and not elected. Many of you are thinking the obvious. You are thinking, we will never get rid of the machines. The capitalized cost is too great to the county to eliminate them. Many of you are thinking about the different sections of the Florida statute. I know because I think about these things as well. But by doing nothing, we allow the continued disintegration of voter confidence. We allow the very officials who have direct power over our lives to be selected, not chosen by the majority. County commissioners, school board members, mayors, and sheriffs all have an immense amount of control over the populations they serve. And I believe they should be legitimately elected by the people they serve. My proposal is that we challenge the status quo. I'm asking for this board to approve a random hand count of one race in each precinct on election night, before the ballots are moved from the precincts to the central tabulation center where they are stored. I have worked, watched, and observed many elections in Palm Beach County. In most instances, there were never more than 200 ballots cast at any one location. In many instances, far less. A team of two could tally the results for one race in their precinct and report it to an appointed board member. If the results differ, we, the public, and you, the board, will know without question that something must be done. In Collier County, Florida, a proposal is being considered to hand count every presidential race from 2024 forward. The extra 20 minutes to hand count one race will not impact our supervisors' payroll costs, as paychecks are cut according to the title of the poll worker, not the actual hours worked. As they pay very well above the minimum wage, this is never an issue. In closing, please consider the data that shown to you here today. It does not naturally occur. And you, as our board, are the only ones that can ask for a manual check and balance on this part of the process. I ask the board seriously consider proactive measures by demanding hand counts at the precinct level at the next available election. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Bruce Terrell, Jeff Blong, followed by Mary Adam.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Quick question. How many of you are married and have children? Please raise your hands. Right. This county uses the ESS machine, similar to the Dominion machine. How many of you would bet your life, your children's life, or your spouse's life on its correctness? Raise your hand. Come on. How many of you? Amazing. Not one of you. I spent 5 years researching the machine. So I'm going to give you a quick story. It started in Venezuela. As a consultant, I am a consultant for major businesses, and I'm a consultant for political people. I've done it for over 40 years. I was asked to go to business. When I went there, I'm flying in at night. And I look, what a beautiful sight on the mountain, all lit up. I mean, gorgeous. Asked the guy next to me who lives there, I said, what's all that? He says, oh, that's the poor people. We give them electricity so they don't come down and basically riot. I said, well, why don't you do something else? Why don't you try to educate them? He says, we're not ready to do that yet. Now I'm going to ask you something. You're holding a snake. That's what Venezuela was doing. They were holding a snake. And for years it went well. Until somebody let go of the snake. And what happened? They got their ass bit. And they died. Venezuelans poured into South Florida by the hundreds and thousands, didn't they? Why? Those were the rich people that thought they could last, just like you people sitting up there. All of you. You think you got it made while you can use the machine. The machine works well for you while you're there. When you're not there, it's not going to work well for you. It's time to change the machine. It's time to go and put it back the way it was. Get the hand ballots, because you're all going to get bit. It happens. Happens all over. Look what's happening now in South America. Look what's happening to us on the border. In other words, no matter where we are, it's closing in on us. And if you people think that you're going to last, well, I'm here, I'm great. You got another thing coming. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we have Jeff Blanc.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. As in good morning.
Followed
good
by
morning in Italian. Hi.
Mary Adam, followed by Joseph Lobianco.
Can I get a reset there? Because you were talking.
Si.
So I'm Jeff Buongiorno, Gulfstream, Florida. I was one of the candidates that was mentioned in Todd and Mara this presentation. And I'm an IT cyber expert. I own a Microsoft Gold partnership for over 20 years, and I have over 100 IT certifications. And I've been working with actual forensic images from it's Coffee County, Georgia, and 2 other counties that are currently in litigation. I can't divulge at the time, with some of the military members, some of the brightest in the cyber field that were mentioned. Clay Parker is one of them. I delivered at CPAC on the 4th a national crisis. We have an election infrastructure problem. It's more than just machines. The servers and Dominion and ES&S are both built to fail. We have an excerpt. You guys have a copy of this deck. I hope you take a few minutes and look at it. It's about 19 slides. We have an admission of guilt in a discovery that came out in the Dominion versus Fox trial. And they said that our stuff is just riddled with shit. They said it, their words, not mine. And I'm going to show what could have gone wrong on this forensic image that I've attained and that over 500 hours of work has gone into. So we ran a scan, and we came back with 3,700 pages of vulnerabilities. Unbelievable. The word corruption comes up if you search in the PDF 8,448 times. The word vulnerability comes up 22,000 times. It shouldn't come up once. We do managed services, my firm, and you don't want to see one page. You want to see 100% perfect. Now, my 7-layer cake OSI model. Okay, there's 7 layers. And I don't want to blame the software companies. Everyone's the mainstream media won't have me on because I'm saying the word Dominion and ES&S. There's 7 layers. There's vulnerabilities at all 7 layers. The top is the icing on the cake. That's what the end user sees. That's Dominion and ES&S. But the problem is in the other 6 layers as well. Dominion and ES&S, birds of a feather flock together. It's the same basic architecture and infrastructure. Many of the same programmers, mostly Serbian, work on both. Okay, so we found these, we found actual admissible in-court hacks, okay? Anti-forensics set to true. That's an explicit action. That's to mask forensics, what we did. Time stomping. This is like when you freeze a dead body, so you want to hide the time of death. That's what they're doing. It goes on and on. I'm running short on time. What we have here is proof. This is admissible in court. We know it's a true copy of the server. The FBI, a server from FBI.gov, hacked in. Now, whether bad actors took control of the FBI and went in, or it was the FBI, but we do have other evidence of the Department of Defense. Now, there's a lot of technical stuff here. We need to defund them. You guys are warned. If you don't do anything, it's maladministration and malfeasance. We have the goods. We need to get an image of Palm Beach. Give me today's image. Give me today's image from the 14th.
Thank you, sir.
And let me look at it. I'll do a scan. We'll know in 10 minutes.
Next,
It's all
go
there.
right out
We know
there.
how to
Go
do
right
it.
ahead.
We have,
Thank you.
We have
Thank
Mary.
you.
We have Mary Adam, followed by Joseph LoBianco, followed by Deborah Ferris.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Mariette Adam de Villiers. I'm a resident of Lake Osborne Estates and the president of its Civic Association. Today, I'm here with a few other residents to speak about the Lake Bass Bridge project started in 2017. It was not known to the community until June of 2021. I happened to start asking questions about ownership of the seawall connected to the bridge and a future interest in creating a dock. I was advised by the engineering department that a new bridge was being designed and at 65% completion. It impacts on my property and driveway. Those impacts were noted by the engineers department, and I would be provided with a proposal. 9 months later, March 2022, without notice, county workers came on my property and that of my neighbor to put wood sticks. Those sticks came at close proximity to the walls of our house. The engineering department was contacted, and we agreed to let this happen and then meet in person with the project manager, at which time we conveyed our concerns. By modification of the bridge, it will impact the very essence of our property, create danger for us exiting and entering our home. It will cause for damage to our personal property. For the first time, I received a design plan dated May 2020, almost now 2 years old, which was not provided when I first inquired in 2021. We noted the bridge was not being replaced, but it was being modified, widening the road, elevation of the bridge, deletion of the wood pedestrian bridge, placing residents to walk alongside of the traffic and destroying a landmark in the community. It's a block of concrete and a design that is not in alignment with a 70-plus-year-old community. It took another 8 months to get a response from the county engineer to say no changes were being made and that was that, they would proceed, now November 2022. We asked for someone to present the project and give the opportunity for the community to ask questions. The Deputy Director of Engineering kindly organized a WebEx meeting, at which time some very reasonable requests were made by the residents. We are here today to bring awareness to this board of what is happening and ask that you have the engineering department collaborate with the impacted community on the design of this bridge. No one is against the project in itself. We all just want the plans to marry with the needs of the area and its people. Who are the people? It's not just Lake Osborne Estates or me. It's the joggers, the fishermen, the cyclists, the children and their parents, the newlyweds, the dog walkers, the expecting mothers, and so many more that come from each one of your represented districts to visit this area. They tell us what a beautiful area this is, the best place to watch the sunset. Oh, we come here all the time to exercise, and they're going to remove the bridge? Where will we walk? Why can't they just make an exception and replace it, they ask. Your constituents have questions, and their good suggestions should be incorporated into the design. Thank you, Commissioners, for hearing me today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We have Joseph LoBianco, Deborah Ferris, followed by Shannon Otto.
Hi, Joe LoBianco, 5820 Lake Osborne Drive. I'm here today to ask this board to reconsider the Lake Bass Bridge project design. While we agree that it's time to replace the bridge, there is simply no need to proceed with the project as it currently stands. We have tried to express our concerns to the Engineering and Public Works Department and Mayor Weiss, but our concerns have been ignored. The current design of the bridge calls for elevation change, road expansion, installation of sidewalks, including a bike lane, removal of mature trees, and worst of all, the destruction of the Fisherman's Bridge. Lake Osborne Drive has had the same design since it was constructed over 70 years ago. There is no logic behind several of the components of this project. The proposed design simply doesn't match the setting that it's being placed. The first issue is the installation of sidewalks with bike lanes. It's duplicative to the path that already exists and runs through the park. There is no increase in demand to justify the expense of this. The community simply doesn't want sidewalks where they haven't existed for 7 years. There's no evidence that can be produced to justify the cost to taxpayers for these sidewalks. They're not wanted or have been requested by any property owners that have been impacted by this. Currently, there's no plan to connect the sidewalk attached to this project to any other existing sidewalks, and that's a big problem. Destruction of the Fisherman's Bridge is a loss for all of Palm Beach County. This bridge is used by so many people, whether fishing, watching the sunset, or simply taking family photos. The new design calls for concrete and metal bars, very similar to what you see on major roads. Lake Osborne is residential. Raising the bridge without dredging the canal makes the canal inaccessible. It's useless. Useless for boaters, useless for anyone. There are no plans for dredging the canal included in the design. While the county engineers are insistent on the need to meet county standards, we're requesting a variant or a waiver for this requirement as it's done in other areas. Simply raising the bridge will create a safety hazard for the two properties attached. There is no reason it is not safe. Widening the road, widening Lake Osborne Drive, a road that is already overcrowded, with the raising of the 6th Avenue Bridge and expansion of the Lake Bass Bridge, it makes it more attractive to large trucks, which is prohibited. We have been taking care of the right-of-way in this area forever. The county has abandoned these areas, but now they want to dictate to us what can be done in this. This approach is not, it's not fair. We are asking for your help to make these needed changes before any plans advance further. We want to be partners in this process, but we want to preserve our properties and our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We have Deborah Ferris, followed by Shannon Otto, followed by Jane Justice.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you so much for your service. My name is Deborah Ferris, and I live in Boca Raton. I'm here to tell you that I am of ancestry Chinese. I was a Venezuelan citizen, still am, and now I am a naturalized American citizen. And this is a wonderful country. I am so grateful to the United States. But I can tell you that what I see happening in this country, we will become Venezuela on steroids because our most precious right is being subverted, and that is our vote. So I am here to ask you, to exhort to you, to please do everything that is in your power to protect that vote. And I am going to suggest 3 measures. The first one is hand counting ballots. The second one is 1 day of voting, 1 holiday. It has been done in other countries, it can be done here. And the third one is vote by mail, restricted vote by mail, only those that are medically necessary and only the military. Please protect our vote. My public confidence, my confidence in this election is severely eroded. What I see happening here is mirroring what has happened in the countries that I have left, which are ancestrally China, Panama, Venezuela, and Mexico. There is nowhere else to go. So please protect our vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have Shannon Otto, followed by Jane Justice, followed by Karen Ho.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am here also today, a very concerned voter. Because your team has high standards, I expect that you're going to return our country, our county, and our country maybe, lead the way in our state also to simplify our voting and correct our voter registrations. Hand counting is an easy thing to do, right? We have done it well before Al Gore and Bush hoodwinked us into thinking that we can't vote any longer by hand. That was at the point of 224 years. At that point, we had been always hand counting, right? I mean, it was just normal. But after Al Gore And Bush, after that election, we were hoodwinked into thinking we can't do that anymore. So we need to just go back. How about making, like Debbie said earlier, how about making our voting day a holiday? If we're so concerned and we want to make sure it's fair for everybody, why don't we make it a holiday? Now I have to say, this county and our city have made some holidays on their books for their commissioners and for their council members that should never be holidays, like Juneteenth or something like that. Let's make it for every single person that they can get out there and vote, and it's just the standard. Why not? We're here in America, we can do that. And I do agree that we need to restrict our voting back to our soldiers and to voting, absentee in that way. I also think that we should notarize. It should be a little more than a signature, possibly. We can all think about that and decide. But I also want to say, my husband and I went up to the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections one day, and we were asking in writing for the CVR, the cast vote record. And when we drove up, it was kind of interesting. We drove up, we parked in our parking spot, and it was amazing. We both saw the same thing. So about 100 miles out from the building, and there was a camera up there, there was this box, and it was a ballot box. And there was a man there, and he didn't speak any English. And there was a man that walked up, my husband and I both saw this, walked up, and he had 7 ballots in his hand. And my husband and I, without even speaking a word to each other, we just saw it. He parked, we got out like Starsky and Hutch. We walked over and said, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, what are you doing? You can't just turn in 7 ballots. Like, whose are these? And the guy who didn't speak much English couldn't even be seen by the camera up there because he was under this tent. Says kind of in his broken English, which is fine, but said in his broken English, oh, you can put a couple in here, whatever, and then you can go over there and put the rest in the building. Well, I was headed to the building, so I just followed the man, and I walked in, and he went to proceed to hand those 3, 4, 5 ballots, whatever he had in his hand at that time, to somebody. And she took them, and I said, whoa, 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 wait a second. Whose ballots are those? I mean, you can't just hand in several ballots.
You're just about to finish.
So all that to say, when I challenged it, they had somebody come over and took them, didn't even look at them and said, oh, it's just fine as long as they're family. I said, are they family? She looked in seconds, like it was a second. I wish I had challenged her again because it was too soon for her to know.
We appreciate your comments.
So my point is, there is a lot going on, and y'all can make a difference for us and us as voters.
Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jane Justice from Westlake Worth. Congratulations, everybody, on their new offices. I want to thank you for lending an ear to these very solemn testimonies and ask you again for hand-counted ballots. They work for over 100 years. And 1 day for voting and verified overseas military ballots. We're spending $33 million a year for a lot of waste and confusion. Compelling testimony. Everyone, this is what the day calls for. This is your time to shine, and you need to do the right thing. To add to the many testimonies, videos, books, and movies verifying voter fraud and many integrity issues across the country, we here in Palm Beach County have also found that the elections are subject to the very same corruption and from firsthand experience of many co-patriots, not at all transparent. We the people are armed with the truth. The government has become our enemy and desires to eliminate, dismantle, confuse, the electorate by robbing us of our posterity and, most importantly, our freedom. Here is the proof. The EPA on East Palestine, Ohio disaster, missing in action. Millions of illegals flooding across the border. Foreign nationals, terrorists, and drugs to murder our children, some 100,000 a year. here in this country, depletion of our reserve oil. Thousands of Americans left behind enemy lines in Afghanistan on purpose, and all the American weaponry left behind enemy lines. And then move us into a manufactured war with a corrupt country, Ukraine. A manufactured climate crisis to confiscate even more wealth. Our government behind coming food shortages, blowing up food processing plants across the country, underage children being encouraged to mutilation and transgenderism, and hatred of this country. Woke ideology right here in Palm Beach County. I've seen it. Radical political judges, weaponization of the IRS and the FBI, public education. Here we have chemical warfare, COVID theater, and medical martial law taking place in the last couple of years. Innocent, patriotic Americans held behind prisoner bars right now from the orchestrated setup insurrection of January 6, 2020. Yes, the globalists are seeking to destroy us. And yes, we are counting on you to do everything that you can. We all know we are losing elections by design. These are the further proof to the citizens of Palm Beach County and across the country that the election process is yet another orchestrated theater. I am here to beseech you to take immediate action and use the vote to get rid of the voting machines and have one-day voting and verified military ballots. We can do none other, or we are all going to go hungry. This is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Go right
So we
ahead.
have Karen Ho, and followed by the last card by Lawrence B. Silver.
Thank you. Commissioner, good afternoon. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for taking our time to listen to the public, voice out their opinions. My name is Karen Ho. I live in 9174 Chianti Court. I own many houses, as I came in many times. $65,000 property tax I pay all over the county. Now, my property, one of the property theft that I had to endure, and I report repeatedly to Florida law enforcement, City of Boynton Beach, Palm Beach County Sheriff. I'm getting nowhere because they keep saying it's civil matter, it's civil matter. It's not civil matter, it's criminal matter. Dade County took the appropriate action, Broward County took appropriate action, and they assigned appropriate more money to the inspectors to deal with this property fraud cases. So I did research and I presented to the sheriff's office, Boynton Beach office, and guess what? They have no idea what's going on because it's not shooting, it's not rape, it's not breaking the glass, something that's visual. This is something that's not visual. I own the house. This is a D2 at 100 Villa Lugano. I own the garage. And this is I'm paying mortgage on the property. And this is acknowledgement from the perpetrator, criminal. Acknowledge they don't own my house. But Palm Beach County recording the deed for them without adding the condominium. So it was totally disappeared. There are 17 houses that's not supposed to belong to them. Northland Lugano LLC. Perfect. You would say, here, I'm telling you, we don't own it. Then why you record it? Not only that, they filed civil matter, civil suit, had me evicted from my own place because City of Boynton Beach police cannot see it on the Papa west side. And on top of that, those predator attorney ask for attorney fees, okay? And they took out $60 million Fannie Mae loan because they are claiming all of the properties belongs to them by virtue of Papa delete condominium. And you can tell there's no tax history except recently. What happened between 2006 to 2020? So I'm still paying taxes because my mortgage company asked for it. Thank you very much for your attention to this matter.
Thank you very much.
And
Appreciate it.
I
Thank
w-
you.
I would say if we can find a opportunity for people to come and workshop. I'm an accountant. I'm also fraud auditor. When I was-
Last time you were here, I think I requested you come up to my office. I'll get you help with the Legal Aid Society, okay? So make an appointment with my office. I don't know what district, it doesn't make any difference. Let's see if we can help with the legal aid. Now, we're going to go on. I don't want to take any
Yes.
more time for this
Thank you.
gentleman. But definitely come on
The
up and
thing
see
is-
my office, okay? Thank you
Yes.
so much. Sir, go ahead.
Good afternoon, all of you, and thank you for staying for me, the last speaker. That's the good news. I'm here in support of all the people that have come to talk about the Lake Osborne Drive corridor, which runs from Lake Worth Road to Lantana Road and is bordered on John Prince Park. And this is definitely a residential area all the way down there. But yet we have trucks, we have semis that cut through there, even with the no truck signs and so forth. And they've raised the 6th Avenue Bridge, which goes over Lake Osborne and goes over Lake Osborne Drive. And that's a good thing because trucks were getting stuck underneath it. However, it just allows, if there's no policing of the situation, then we're going to have more trucks and more problems. And now the idea of putting sidewalks right next to a road that has dangerous drivers on it. I happen to live on this street too. I've had cars end up in accidents in my front yard on numerous occasions. I've helped people out in the street who I thought was dying from motorcycle accidents and such. The kind of driving that goes on there is horrendous. And if we add a sidewalk right next to that, when there's this wonderful path over in John Prince Park, I think that it'll be changing the nature of the neighborhood and it'll be hurting the community and it won't help John Prince Park. So I'd really like it if we could get the county commissioners to help us put together the traffic department or the road construction department along with John Prince Park and the various neighborhoods, Rollo from the city of Lake Worth and LOECA, who I heard speaking here today, and put them all together in a working committee of some sort so that maybe we could come up with some good suggestions that would work. I heard several of them today. The fact is that with the recent infrastructure bills that have been passed in Washington, D.C., which I'm very grateful for, and we want to fix our country and fix our roads, but we have to do it in a smart way. And I know Commissioner or Mayor Greg Weiss has helped us and will continue to help us, but I'm asking the rest of you to help him help us so that we can get this problem solved in a community fashion rather than just a top-down issue. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Perfect timing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was the last public speaking card, and then there are 5 non-speaking cards, and they are all on the code issues, code enforcement issues.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think this concludes this portion of the County Commission meeting that deals with matters by the public. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today and letting us know as your public officials what is it we can do to help you. And I encourage you to continue to be involved in your local government because each and every one of us really cares to take care of all of you. Thank you so much, and at this point, we are adjourned. Thank you. Oh, I have one last speaker. I'm sorry. I recognize you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, we don't need any further direction for staff regarding the investigation? We're good? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
and heavy equipment from Palm Beach County's departments and agencies, such as the Healthcare District and Palm Beach Career Source, Palm Beach International Airport, Sheriff's Office, Solid Waste Authority, and the municipalities of Belle Glade, Boca Raton, Boynton Beach, Delray Beach, Lake Worth, Palm Beach, Palm Springs, Riviera Beach, West Palm Beach, and Wellington. For the past 24 years, we have been serving the South Florida community. And because we are a public service of the Palm Beach County government, everything we sell supports the taxpayers of our county. If you've been considering adding a second car or truck to your family fleet, this is the right place to shop. SUVs, vans, pickups, sedans, and truck serving many purposes. And you're never charged a buyer premium at our auctions. You know who's owned these vehicles and equipment and where they've been. And remember, many of our surplus vehicles, you can download the service history from our website at discover.pbcgov.org. Go to Site Directory, then select Departments. Scroll down to Office of Financial Management and Budget and click on Thrift Store. So get in on the action. Many of your friends and neighbors have already discovered us. It's only a short ride from the interstate or turnpike. Come see for yourself. Take exit 70 from the interstate or exit 99 from the turnpike. We're located at 2455 Vista Parkway in West Palm Beach. Just imagine all this stuff in one convenient place. That's part of the appeal of the store. We bring so much merchandise together and you can shop in an air-conditioned comfort. What can you find at the store? How about computers, laptops, printers, and flat-screen monitors for starters? Sure, we have them. Or maybe power tools and equipment, desks, chairs, file cabinets, tables. And let's not forget the jewelry, watches, cameras, televisions, and other electronic devices too. Our knowledgeable staff and volunteers are always available on sale days to answer your questions, and they're eager to help you. All first-time customers must register with the store. This free service takes just a couple of minutes and entitles you to purchase from our wide selection of retail sale items and to participate in any of our public auctions or computerized bidding. When you subscribe to our mailing list, you will also receive our electronic postcard to make you aware of upcoming bid lots and retail specials. You can come into the store on any sale date to register or use the convenient online registration form on our website. And that website again is discover.pbcgov.org/OFMB/thrift store. Please note, all merchandise on sale to the public is offered as is, where is, with all faults, whether revealed or not, and with no guarantees, either express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability and fitness. Buyers are encouraged to inspect desired merchandise carefully before purchasing. Our Palm Beach County thrift store is located at 2455 Vista Parkway in West Palm Beach. Our phone number is 561-233-2256.
We were concerned about our community. We needed changes. We needed improvements, but we had no direction. So we needed a boost. We needed somebody to point us in the right direction.
And the people became engaged with the police and with the county, and we worked as a team. And it worked so well. I know that OCR has received national awards for the work that they have done in these communities.
We paint almost 200 houses a year, and we use 20 volunteers per house. So we have to have 20 brushes and 20 rollers and all kinds of things. So thank you, OCR, for that opportunity for Rebuilding Together and Paint Your Heart Out to purchase those supplies.
A lot of people didn't believe it was possible for Sandcastle to make a turnaround. Obviously, it is possible, and it's possible for any community to make a turnaround with the help of OCR.
Crime has been reduced dramatically. Our community is more concerned and more in touch. We have a better aesthetic when you walk into or drive through our community. And also our home values have gone way up.
And the work that they have done in putting street lights and sidewalks and all the things that we couldn't do just as a patrol officer, and working together as a team.
Honestly, I don't think that we would have gotten that started and off the ground if it hadn't been for all the support, the connections that OCR has given us.
With the average driver in Palm Beach County driving approximately 10 to 50,000 miles a year, and with 1.5 million county residents, many millions of miles are being driven every year on our roads. In our busy, hectic lives, few of us give a lot of thought to the immense task of maintenance and improvement on the road surfaces we travel on daily. Yet, the ongoing engineering challenges are underway every day, with new upcoming road projects constantly being developed and improved. To better understand how these processes work, we take a look at one such project on the northern end of the county in Riviera Beach and the town of Lake Park, Silver Beach Road. Road design and construction has many challenges to overcome. These include permitting, public outreach and coordination issues, traffic control complications, and sometimes complex site features. There are many permits and approvals obtained prior to beginning construction. The permit agencies verify that the design complies with the rules and regulations that provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the general public. The Silver Beach Road Improvement